February 4th at 6:45 p.m. Purdue has just dropped their second game of the season to a team, and they're now 22-2. I mean, you lose games. I mean, that's the thing. It happens in college basketball, especially happens in Power Five basketball. It happens in Big Ten basketball. Purdue spotted that team 17-point lead at one point, dropped way down to 15 at the half. Purdue was shooting at the half. They had 11 turnovers. At the half, they had already missed 6 or 5 free throws, and then they struggled and they scratched in the claw and made the game interesting, but eventually dropped the game. I'm Boiler Dowd, your host for this unusual basketball handsome hour quick beat. My pal Anish is next to me. Anish, tell the folks hello.
I wish I was next to you, man. I wish I was next to
It'd
you.
be fun.
We've done that before, but
Yeah.
it's you know what's great? I don't feel that bad.
I don't
you know,
either.
you know what I mean? Like I feel so much more annoyed when Purdue plays Michigan State. Like I can't. And again, it's very different for you, right? When you are, not a quiet Purdue fan in Indianapolis and IU country. The feelings are very different. But when you're not in Indiana, boy, does the rivalry not really matter anymore? Because like IU just, as much as they wanted to play this up for like, it's got Big Ten stakes and both teams are ranked and stuff like that.
Right.
They just lost. They just got creamed by Maryland, and there is no Big Ten stakes here. I mean, like Purdue would have to royally collapse down the stretch, which again, mathematically
possible.
always possible.
Yep.
Absolutely, but it's not like it's. I don't feel at all anything. You know what I mean? It was just like, dang, you can't spot any Big Ten. You can't spot Minnesota a 17-point lead on the road. You know what I mean?
You can't. You know, I mean, like you know this from playing, from watching for a long time. The amount of energy and perfection it takes to dig out of a 15-point hole. Yeah. And Purdue would get out and then they would fall back. And they would get out and they would fall back, right? It kept happening. They never got quite over the hump. There's so many stories here, but for me, the biggest one, the easiest one to clean up, I've said this for the last 2 years. If you shoot 70%, you make 70% of your free throws as a team, you generally win a game. Purdue.
Yeah.
I know the turnover sucks. 16 turnovers, it's awful. IU had 8, right? Purdue had 11 turnovers in the first half, like I just said a second ago. But those free throws, think about this. You hit your free throws, you win the game without even playing a ball game that's worthy of much comment, that's positive, right? IU wanted this thing bad. This was a huge game for them and their fans.
Game of the year, not huge game.
I think it's awesome that a team of IU's stature can raise way up and beat a number 1 team in the nation so much that the little kids get excited and they run on the court. I think it's cool. I'm not going to disparage. I love people running on the court. I really do.
Oh yeah, you know me. I
run on the court every game. Let's go.
Every game, every single win. Right. Alabama should be rushing the field for every win of theirs. This is my policy.
Yeah, so you don't disparage them, and I really don't disparage them. But what I do say is, congrats to that team for beating a number 1 team. Purdue's a worthy number 1 team.
I think Purdue is a current number 1 team, but we can get there.
This is an interesting discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Purdue 12 hours or whatever, 48 hours from now will be still the number 1 team. So it's a great resume win for a team trying to make the tournament. But yeah, totally.
By the way, I'm sorry for not having these on. I know this is part of the brand.
I know. Man, all of a sudden it's
sophistication.
Sophistication. I'm expecting like a windbreaker, some ascot around your neck. I need
maybe suede elbow pads.
That's right. I'm gonna send that picture of you walking the streets of Europe, in your beautifully tight pants. I need those
very tight European fitted pants.
Exactly. I think we have an interloper. So here we go. I don't know.
I only got like 5 minutes.
But oh my gosh, this guy!
I've got it.
I'm gonna since I started with introductions, I'm gonna introduce. If you're just listening, you're not watching. Our pal Michael has tuned in from the beautiful Texas workshop. He's here to say hi for a moment before he goes and enjoys a feast. Michael, what do you have to
say? So right before I got on, I heard Anish say that he thinks we're still going to be number one. It's crazy, but this is why I love him, because he says shit like that. And then, I had a thought on the matchup, Edie and Trace Jackson Davis. I think that Edie won handily. That was a really good showing in a hostile environment. And I put this in to an audience, and that is Trace Jackson Davis's last point to go in the second half. And then in that time, that's when Purdue when you go to your star to get some points to calm your team down, to stem the tide. And I mean, he's a fantastic basketball player, but it was shocking to see him pull up and have JHS just go nuts and win that game for them.
That's it. So, you're coming in a little choppy, but
you cut out one point that I think you made that's really good. Okay, as you said, and I don't think it came out. Is you said Trace Jackson Davis' last points were at 10:45 left in the second half. That's a huge deal, right?
10:50.
Okay, think about this. Once the refs started calling that game like basketball, and Jackson Davis started accruing some fouls, the game, all of a sudden, you're like, okay, he's not playing with a different set of rules, and now Edie can play basketball, and Edie absolutely was kicking him in the teeth.
But here's the thing: if you would ask, I'm sure it's going to be, they'll ask somehow, in the post game. If you ask Zach, he wants that win,
Oh yeah,
and so
no doubt.
They statistically, I think they, Zach, won the matchup, but IU won the game, and Hood Schifino was incredible. I mean, to Michael's last point there, Hood Schifino is real. He is built.
Well, here's the thing. I got a bone to pick with Hood Schifino, though. All right, and I'm not kidding about this. This pisses me off. Okay, now listen. He went down the court and he missed a layup, and I said he got a deep pride bruise because they attacked that situation. The trainers, IU's awesome medical staff was on it. We go to timeout. We think, is he dead? Did his leg just fall off? Oh no, IU's superstar freshman is down. A sniper got him from the upper deck. And I was like, it looked pretty bad. So I thought maybe he's got a bad injury. I don't want to see a kid get injured ever. Nope. He's back at it when they come back. So I was like, oh, that one hurt worse because he missed the layup.
I do think he landed kind of awkwardly, but
sure. He landed kind of awkwardly, but the drama of him rolling around and IU's trainers rushing like JFK had just been shot. Let's chill. Let's slow. All right, let's just take it easy now.
Outside of that, had a phenomenal game. I mean,
he's a good player.
He was making
talent's never the problem at IU, my friends.
Yeah, that's for sure. To the thing about Trace Jackson Davis is IU needed him to close that game. They still got it, right? But it was just because Purdue because he had an excellent first half. Purdue dug themselves such a hole in the first half. The freshmen in the first half played like freshmen, right? For the first time, I think, for the first time all year, they played like freshmen at the same time, in the same half, right, on the road against a team that was just itching for the win. And that was the whole. And again, you've got to be, to Dowd's point, you've got to be perfect, right? If you dig yourself on against any team, let alone a team as talented as IU, as pumped as IU was for the game.
It's how they dug that hole, which was that's some 5 possessions in a row where they turned the ball over, and
that was a big deal. That stretch was huge. I
mean, that goes from a -3, -5 to a -15. If we're going to nitpick this team and say what makes them vulnerable, it's turnovers in bunches. They generally do a fairly good job of taking care of the ball. Usually have these times where they turn the ball late in the second half. They had 3 possessions in the row where they turn the ball, go 3 for 3 on that, but still it killed some of the momentum. The other thing that I'll say is I thought David Jenkins, I was a little bit surprised.
Sorry, say it again about David Jenkins.
Game. I thought he played well, and I was a little bit surprised to see Lawyer get than him down the stretch when Lawyer was struggling.
Yeah,
So-
lawyer for the. I mean, you both know. Love finds its love comes in strange places and strange moments, and it overcomes you. And you know that I have been struck by Fletcher Lawyer. Nobody's more surprised than I am, but he is my favorite.
You're smitten.
And man, I'm smitten. I'm falling. I'm head over heels, and I'm already making the Each One More comparisons. I was making them in December, and he had, I think, his worst game of the year. It came with turnovers, it came with missed shots. More importantly, it came up with passed up open shots. And that's something that he can't do,
Which is surprising because one of the things this season has been both of them have played with confidence that you don't expect. And when you see Lawyer passing up open shots in windows that he would normally shoot, thinking about whether he can hit the shot or not. Now, having said that, he still had some great drives to the basket. He had a second half where he missed the layup, but he was aggressive, and it
was early in the second half, right? Like with 7 minutes in, something like that.
Within the first 5 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, totally. And so you're the internet at the at the Railroad Tie Ranch, might be that's it. So it was good seeing you, and goodbye.
Yeah, adios. Well, so the thing that and we've got a lot of reactions in the margins. There were overreactions on Twitter, and I want to caution every Purdue fan to pump your brakes just a second. Just for a second. And the reason I say this is Purdue's 22-2. Yes. Purdue's played a team that absolutely, they were trying to make this into the biggest thing ever. This was it. This was it. This is their Alamo. They had to have it. They wanted to have it. They were fired out of a cannon in the first half, and Purdue's energy and mentality was way not there. And it wasn't just Lawyer and Smith, really. It was the entire team. First did not look quite right. He couldn't stay in front of Trace Jackson Davis when they tried that. That didn't work, right? Even guys coming off the bench, you saw Newman come out, get whistled for 2 quick fouls. There was not a shot in the arm in the first half that was working. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Even Zach didn't have some of his kind of deep touches. That being said, I'm pretty sure he went
18
like 5
points
of 7. Yeah, exactly. It was like 5 of 7, 18 points or something like that at the half. So it was one of those Zach things where you're like, oh, he's not having a great game. Oh, he's got 18 and 9 at halftime. Got it.
Right. I mean, here's the thing, and I think Painter had this point a little bit ago. You and I have talked about this on multiple occasions, that a loss in itself doesn't mean that much.
No.
The question becomes, what do you do with that loss? What do you learn from that loss? Even if Purdue comes in flat the next game, you always hear these stories at the end of the season about there was a turning point, there's a fulcrum, or there was this one thing happened. The guys started talking. They started changing the way they were doing things. Will Purdue take this as a splash of cold water on their face and be like, all right, if we start a game like that against anybody, we're going to lose? I hope they take it that way. I hope they do, right? If I were Painter, I would say exactly those things. I would say, hey, this is something that you learn from. This is something that you played a team that's good. You played a team that's really talented. They've shown it this year a couple times. They threw their best punch at Purdue in the first half, and it landed. It landed hard, right? And Purdue, it took a pretty good effort to come back, but it didn't take Purdue's best effort because we didn't see. And Zach said, "Get on my back. I'm going to try to pull you back into this thing." He did everything he could, right? And then a couple other guys. Jenkins made some key shots. I think he had 2 threes in about a minute and a half period. Awesome to see. I think that's something to build upon, right? Jenkins is starting to get back into that 40% type of shooter role. That's awesome, right? His career is 40% shooter. That's a big deal. He's looked like that. Now that's 3 straight games. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Mason didn't get as many looks as last game, right?
Yeah.
But he was. I don't think we're getting cold shooting Mason. Hopefully for this kind of next final stretch of the of the season. There were a couple times. I mean, honestly, it was like all three facets were kind of vulnerable. Defense, turnovers, free throws, right? And turnovers and free throws, free throws. It is what it is. They Purdue's a good free throw shooting team, and if you have off nights, I don't know what you do. You know what I mean? It's like there's no
Right.
strategy for that. You just gotta make them. The turnovers.
They missed a lot of front ends too.
And that especially in the first half was just killer, right?
Yep.
The turnovers, you can make better decisions. The bad defensive rotations for this team was really tough to see.
They got backdoored how many times because of that?
I mean, Lawyer was out of place on certain possessions. Morton, who was Purdue's best defender, was turned around on a handful of things. Gillis wasn't making help the helper type rotations. It was just that baseline kick, like that weak side kind of second pass away baseline pad, like lane that was available over and over and over again. And it was like that's the kind of stuff that's like, man, you stop two of those, and this game is.
Right.
This game could swing.
That's the thing. I look at so many things Purdue could have done that are curable.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
And to me, that's the biggest positive that I'd take away is that you played like that, still almost got it done. Purdue did. I mean, the defense failing, we can talk about the turnovers all day long, but the defense failing is probably a bigger deal to me because we've seen turnover-laden games this year. We haven't seen a game this year where they allowed that many points to be scored, especially in those 20 minutes. Was that 49 or 50 points at the half? Was it right there?
Yeah, it was 50, I think. Yeah.
50 points, 50 to 35 at the half. That's right.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest problem that I have with the game, right? I mean, that's huge. Yeah. And the way that they let Trace Jackson-Davis have easy looks, right? You saw it in the second half
that
when
spin.
Purdue started getting in his way.
You know that spin's coming. I know that spin's coming. You know he's going with the left hand. Right. I know he's going with the left hand. And when he's halfway through his move, I mean, he's a great player. When he's halfway through his move, that ball's going in. Like that is what it is. So it's like you've got to. It's just like when Zach gets the ball deep in the post. That's it. You're done. Like when he's on balance and he gets it deep in the post, that's 2 points. And if he misses, you count yourself lucky. You've got to beat him before he gets there, right? It's the same with Trace with his left hand with that spin. And so it was just, in that first half, it was, I don't know. The Lawyer passed up these shots, like and then in the second half, Purdue kind of got back down to it, chipped away. And I think what we were looking for, and J Money was talking about this. J Money was going to join us, but he can't for a very good reason. But he can't right now. He was talking about like you don't want to. We all chalk this up. Michael and I did the podcast 2 weeks ago now, and we were just looking at this next stretch, or about a week and a half ago. We were looking at this 10-day stretch, and we were like, man, by the time the IU game comes around, they are going to want this for their season, and Purdue is going to have tired legs. And it's going to be in Assembly Hall. IU is going to be talented. IU is talented. We already penciled this up to a loss.
So let's rewind what you just said. I think we've talked about a lot of problems Purdue had, right? Many problems on many levels. Free throw shooting comes from fatigue often, mental and physical fatigue. Defensive lapses come from mental and physical fatigue.
That's not, and again, that's not. And this is
how many games so they played this stretch, this 5-game stretch.
Yeah,
I was just looking at this. This is one of them that I said, if you go 3-2 in this stretch, I think you win the Big Ten. I said that. You can go back and check the tape. Maryland, at Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, IU.
Yeah,
that's a tough stretch because of the style of play these teams bring at you. That's tough.
We were saying at the beginning of that stretch, 3-2. Michael and I were saying if Purdue goes 3-2, we will absolutely take that. Purdue ended up going 4-1, and in the end, the rivalry game stings. I want now. I mean, I am willing to be, willing to eat my words. And again, IU is a very talented team. I think they get smoked in Mackey. Like I think Purdue smokes them in Mackey. The goals for the season are win the Big Ten, get Zach the National Player of the Year, get him healthy going into March, and make a March run. All of those things are very much still on the table. And in fact, more, at least, the first couple of those are more likely than not still at this point. Michael brought up in the group chat the Michigan game from last year, the Michigan plastering. and so we were talking like we had already, I think all four of us, you, me, J Money, and Michael, had penciled this IU game in as a loss. Again, It is what it is. And at halftime, we were upset because, and especially J Money and Michael were upset because of the way Purdue was losing. Right. And the way Purdue, like the hole that Purdue dug them in, and if it was extrapolated through the end of the game, it would have been like the Michigan game from last year where Purdue got plastered by 30.
Right.
But it was one of those weird rescheduled games. It is what it is. Like, again, it was similar in that it was a really tight schedule, even way tighter than even this schedule. This game ended up being last year, but it was still the way that team responded really was like put a sour taste in our mouth, right? This game, Purdue responded by chipping away, tightening up a little bit on defense, getting it to Zach. Zach is nothing but businesslike, right? And it ends up being a one possession game with 50 seconds left, right? And again, you're looking for this because again, it seems like the Big Ten is wrapped. Like if Purdue keeps playing like this, the Big Ten title, one thing that we wanted during Zach's tenure was that. Right. Check. We're getting there. Zach getting National Player of the Year. He had his 6th 30-point game of the season this year. I just want to repeat that. His 6th 30-point game. He's 30-20 in Assembly Hall, still on pace for National Player of the Year. And Purdue still needs to fight through halves like that to make some noise in March and April, really, is what we want. And so these are still good things. These are all good things to take away, and also why I think you and I aren't too terribly hot after this loss.
No, and so here let's look at one other thing that's pretty important. Like we were talking about what this team can do, what Zach can get, those sort of things, those sort of perspectives. All the goals that were set last year that weren't reached was one of the things that drove me crazy because I cannot stand a team that doesn't reach its potential. If you're not very good, fine. If you're very good and you don't do anything with being good, that is just, it's the worst for me.
Yep.
Purdue didn't win a Big Ten title. Purdue did not go to a Final Four. Purdue did not have Ivy win any awards. Mm-hmm. Right? Those things all hurt. Now you look at this right here. Let's compare and contrast. It looks to me like after the head-to-head battle, you've got a guy who's the clear Big Ten Player of the Year favorite and the clear National Player of the Year favorite. Check. You've got Purdue still in the driver's seat with a 2-game lead on Rutgers. Check. Big check, right? And everything else is still in front of you. Ethan Morton was asked about this earlier in the week before the IU game. Somebody asked him about, I can't remember the question, about just taking every game, one at a time. And he said, we have goals. The first one to attain is win the Big Ten. We can do that. We're in a good position to do that. We have to go ahead and handle our business. And so if you look over the next, there's a couple things that are really cool coming here. Okay. The first one, 5-day break. That's my favorite. 5 days. Maybe tomorrow Purdue gets just a walk-through day. They get to take it easy, shoot-around day, whatever. But they get a chance to get a little bit healthy, to take a deep breath. Like Edie always talks about, I don't know if you've seen this, he'll always talk about a really good meal when things are stressful because mom's around.
Yeah.
And mom will invite the entire team over and they'll have that really good meal. It's a chance for everybody to bond, a chance for everybody to get right mentally, and a chance for everybody to fill their bellies, which is not a bad thing. When you're playing at the pace and with the level of effort Edie and company played with in the second half specifically, it's gonna wear on you. So after that 5-day break, Purdue plays versus Iowa and Mackey in the friendly confines, and then they've got at Northwestern, and then they've got at Maryland. That at Maryland game might be the most critical in the next few because then you get a 6-day break before welcoming Ohio State to Mackey, national TV.
A desperate Ohio State game.
Desperate Ohio State team. Then guess what you get? IU at Mackey.
Yeah, that's it.
Purdue could easily clinch the Big Ten title in that span. And then you've got 2 more games that are nearly fluff versus Wisconsin, which I absolutely hate, and I would love to see them beat their ass at Wisconsin. And then you finish the season out versus Illinois. By the way, the Big Ten scheduling, man, what the heck? What I mean, what do we,
almost like there's nobody in charge.
Man, it's not, as you always say, this is suboptimal. The schedule makes no damn sense. The thing that always gets me about this, and I understand you got a lot of schedules to put together, a lot of teams got to fit in here, but it always kills me when you play a team like twice in a 10-day period, and then another team, you don't play them till the very end.
You play one in November and one in March.
Right.
It's like, what are we doing, man?
One in August.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Goodness
what are we doing?
gracious.
By the way, Ken Palm, if you look at it, Ken Palm.
Did Purdue go up after this loss? Because that's what I expect.
Purdue is still sitting at 3. And Purdue's projected record is still 27-4, and Purdue's projected Big Ten record is still 16-4.
Awesome.
It is
that four losses is kind of a magic number historically in the Big Ten.
Exactly.
Right?
And 27 wins. 27 wins. Come on. With this team we were hoping, it seems good. Correct?
And then you get to 30 wins if you can get to the place where Matt Painter's teams are generally good to get to, which is Sweet 16. I said this at the last QuickCast. I know you share the sentiment. I think you and I are eye to eye on this idea, and that is the older I get, the more I appreciate Matt Painter for who he is, the more I appreciate the fact he's at Purdue.
That's it.
The more when like this break that's coming ahead, right? The break that's coming before the Ohio State game, I'm always like, that's the coach I want teaching these guys right now.
Yep.
I want to see what they come with next time. I want to see what he does to get them ready. He's going to handle this with the calm hand that he always has.
And so I again, like, I 100% understand what you say whenever Purdue plays Izzo, right? Which is Izzo. Nobody works the refs like him. It's because he's got the most Big Ten wins. He knows all of these guys. He knows exactly what buttons to press and which tantrums to throw.
Right.
I am so happy. And if Matt Painter did that, Purdue probably would get more calls. I'm so happy that he doesn't. I'm so happy he is who he is. Woody. We all like Woody, right? Like Woody, we all enjoy him, and we would enjoy getting a large steak with Woody and a big pile of mashed potatoes with Woody.
He just look at you the whole dinner.
I know, it's just dead eyes. It's it.
Right.
But you, even Woody lost his mind this game.
Let's talk about something. We didn't talk about this. I don't have much to complain about the officials other than they gave Jackson Davis a carte blanche for a half. And it's at home. I expect it. Every Big Ten basketball fan expects that on the road. If you don't, you haven't been paying attention. So I guess this is kind of the deal. Okay. The thing I have the problem with when Woodson started going crazy, by the way, he went crazy at the right time because the officials, if you don't understand this, if you were listening on mute, which I was, then I was listening on the radio. I can't stand by towel.
Shout out Rob Blackman. You guys say Rob Blackman and Bobby Bucket saved me today.
They're the best. They're so good. They're so honest. It's like almost like I wish they wouldn't be as honest because they were like, oh, that one looked like it was out of Purdue, like that sort of thing. You're like, shh. But the explanation that IU had thrown something on the court earlier, they had gotten warned.
That's it.
If you do it one more time, it's a technical foul.
Yeah.
The refs went over to the table the second time something was thrown. They called the tech. They called it to the table because the announcer announced technical foul has been assessed to IU. To refrain from throwing things on the court. Woodson goes off, yells at the official, says, "That's not fair. I didn't do it." He sounds
great Woody impression,
which is weird.
Great Woody impression.
Really good Woodson impersonation. And guess what? No technical foul. Yeah. And that was when Purdue was down by 2. Guess what happened? Purdue didn't score. IU went down, scored right away. I think they scored a 3, put them up by 5.
That's it. Yeah.
Guess what they won
and again, you got to make a bucket. You got to score. You got to stop IU.
Yeah.
But this stuff doesn't help. And again, Again, we're not saying this because Purdue's not going to win the Big Ten, because Purdue's not going to contend, has an inside track of the number 1 seed. By the way, Gary Parrish, 9 hours ago, probably the most prominent media member who ranks these teams, and everybody kind of generally bases their rankings off of his, 9 hours ago published something that said, win or lose, Purdue is my number 1 tomorrow. And Purdue should be.
So that's where you're basing the confidence.
And so it is like it.
Have you seen how good Houston's conference schedule is, though? Woo!
To be fair, the Big Ten isn't much better this year. That's
Well,
not true.
it's
The
not
Big
much
Ten is
better,
better,
but Big
but
Ten's
the thing is,
notably better. It
but what
really
I'm
is still
saying,
notably better.
but what I'm saying, first
Go
you
ahead.
had a comment kind of earlier in one of the quick casts, which are great. You should subscribe to YouTube and hit the little belly bell.
Hit the bell. Hit the bell, guys. Do it because we're close to 1,000 subscribers.
We are
Be the
close to
1,000th. Maybe a niece shows up your house, gives you a long, uncomfortable hug, just
very
breathes in
comfortable.
your ear.
Very comfortable. That's right.
This is good.
You've experienced it. You
It's
know.
the best. You give great hugs.
But the biggest that we don't root for conference. In fact,
Never.
we go out of our way to root
To root
against
against.
conference. Like, we want everybody to fail except for us. We're good.
That's right.
But the reason that this Big Ten drought in March exists is by inconsistencies like this. Michael would say this right now. It's not the quality of the refereeing or the calls that are being complained about. It's the lack of consistency and the lack of like application to what the rules are. It's like if you're gonna call a game away, call it the whole time, right? If you're going to call a tech if you say you're going to call a tech the next time somebody throws something on the court, somebody else throws something on the court and you don't do it, that is inconsistency. It's very black and white. And that's the kind of stuff that has the Big Ten like being embarrassed on national stages, right? It's not the teams, but it's the style of play that leads to teams being flummoxed when that style of play doesn't happen, when those situations don't happen in March, right?
By the way, so I've been complaining all year, and I think you have too, consistently about the Big Ten's problem with the way games are officiated. You think it goes down to, let's see. Yeah, so John Younger says, I'd be happiest with the Big Ten being a one-bid league and Purdue winning the whole damn thing. We're with you, John.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
It's like what? Yeah.
And it would do so much good because it would throw a ton of monkeys off our back, right? Purdue is only good when the Big Ten sucks. Then they go and they wet themselves in the tournament. We're aware of all this stuff, right?
We've heard it. We've watched a couple. We know.
Yeah, we've been around for them. So
go ahead about the referees and the Big Ten.
Oh yeah. So the Big Ten referees, the officials, do what they do, where they make it this kind of sloppy mud game where the worst team is going to hang and push and whatever. You had tell me, was it Michigan State played somebody at around noon today? And was it Rutgers? It was Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
And Rutgers won the game by 5 points, right?
Yeah.
Total rock fight. I think the final was in either the high 40s or low 50s, something like that. And then if you were a junkie and you were looking for more college basketball, you might have turned on the LSU game, I think. And it was worse. The scoring was worse. It was lower. I think it was, and I don't know, it was an SEC game. It was in the 40s. It was so bad. I think it was low 40s with the final.
Same thing. I think Tennessee was in the 50s. I mean, like, it's just like, what are we doing here, guys? I mean, to me, I don't think that the Big Ten wants this. I think the Big Ten
blame the chip shortage, by the way.
Exactly. Russia.
Russia.
It's the Ukraine war. It's the chip shortage. It's logistics. We're talking. We can say logistics, and it sounds smart, but none of us really know.
What
logistics.
What those logistics are. Yeah,
it's logistics.
Yeah.
I think it's apathy. I think the Big Ten's bread is buttered with football, and they don't care about anything else. They don't care about men's basketball, women's basketball, wrestling, volleyball. They don't care about anything because the only thing that brings in the dollars is and those sweet TV deal is football, and that's pretty much it. All of the resources go there, and it is what it is. It's like that with Delaney. It was like that with Warren, and it will be like that likely with the next guy. So. If you get a hand, if you
gets the chance to see this, there's a guy named, I think his name's Higgins. He's a ref. He's got bleached tips. He always has a fake tape. Okay. He's a tough one for me. That guy's a tough sell for me. He's not an awful ref to the point where he's like, tough for me to watch a guy prettying himself to go referee a game. I think it's a weird thing. But that guy's schedule. And so this is something that Bob Knight had right. There are like 3 things that Bob Knight had right in his life, and this is one of them. He used to say that how can a guy that's that old, because he was talking about back in the day with, I'm trying to think, TV Teddy. How can a guy that's that old go zigzag across the country and every night? So he's going from West Coast time to East Coast time to Mountain time to Central time. And he's running up and down with a bunch of 19, 20-year-olds. Holy moly. Higgins' schedule last week. I think it was like
I
6
remember
time
this.
zones and 6 nights.
I
It
think
was
Billis. I
wild.
think, or no, SVP had that
Oh my
that up, or
gosh.
Billis had that up, or something like that. One of the bald white guys on ESPN.
Right. And there's no organization over the officials. You guys don't
No.
understand. So here's how it works. Tell me if I'm wrong, and each time if I misunderstand anything. The referees are independent contractors. Okay. The Big Ten has a certain amount of approved refs that they use. So when you say Big Ten officiating is bad, those guys, you might see them also at a Pac-10 game. You might see them at an SEC game. But the Big Ten has approved a certain amount of officials. These certain guys are welcome to officiate, and they say these jobs are open, and those independent contractors come and take it. There is no, from what I understand, there was no association over college basketball officials during the year. There is no governing body over that. It's every individual conference that governs who officiates, who's allowed to officiate, who gets paid. Is that correct? Am I understanding everything?
That is it. They're treated like substitute teachers.
Wild. And I don't know. My wife said something like, "There's a guy, a steroid cop ref."
Oh yeah, big arms. Yeah.
He's yoked. Well, I mean, I said to that guy, I said, I've seen this guy call some bad games, but he's not as bad as some. And DJ Carstensen, he was on the game today. He called some bad games, but not as bad as some as well. But we get to see these familiar faces, and I kind of hate the fact that I know any of these names.
Don't know.
I keep saying it.
Yeah, I don't want to know any of these guys.
Right.
I don't. Want
I would
to know
rather
anything.
not.
Yeah, and
But
so it's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing because Purdue lost. We've complained about this nonstop, and Purdue is currently 22 or whatever, 20-2, 22-2. I don't know. Yeah, 2-2. Purdue is 22-2. And we complained about this nonstop. It is detrimental to a sport that both of us care about a great deal. So that's why we're doing this going forward. What are we looking for? So the schedule for the rest of the week, or for the rest of the year, basically the rest of February is what we're looking at, like where you were projecting out to: Iowa, Northwestern, Maryland, Ohio State, and Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Those 5 games, you're hoping one loss, like you're hoping a maximum one. One loss basically clinches the Big Ten.
And the team I don't. Everyone, when we all start saying words that I think words really matter. When you say the word scare, okay, basketball doesn't scare me, guys.
No.
I gotta say, it doesn't. It doesn't anymore. Maybe it's because I'm old.
Even Fran with his red face.
Right. Even Fran doesn't scare me. I'm scared that my family is going to be provided for. Right. I'm scared that someone's going to get sick in my family. I'm scared that
reflective boiler down.
I'm never going to be able to chip away at this weight that I keep steadily gaining. Man, things taste so good. I'm not scared of that, by the way. I'm not scared. I am not scared of a Big Ten basketball team because it doesn't matter. It's out of my control. I am concerned, worried, bothered most by those teams. Maryland at Maryland. And the reason I'm worried about that is that place is brutal. Their fans are maybe as brutal. Those student section is maybe as brutal as any in America. The things they do, they get super personal. The thing I like this Purdue team's mentality. I like the way these guys handle hostility generally. Yeah. It was unusual. I don't think Purdue was rattled by IU. I think Purdue just was like not themselves. And again, I'm gonna agree with you. I think the fatigue portion, I would much rather put this back on Purdue's shoulders than give IU any damn credit.
I mean, again, like Hood Schifino was great for both, especially the second half, but he was great for both halves.
Trace Jackson Davis was great. He's one of the best players in the nation. He's just not the best.
He was great for a half. Then he kind of disappeared, but we're not going to talk about that. But they took it, right? But it was the freshmen playing like freshmen. And this, by the way, was the team that Purdue was supposed to be. Like Purdue at the beginning of the year was supposed to be this team because 2 freshmen starting in the backcourt should not be this good, right? David Jenkins should be playing more than Braden Smith, right? He should be shouldering more. That's why Painter got him, but he's not. Exactly. That's why we wanted the kid that went to Miami, that got bought by Miami.
People can be critical of Braden Smith, and they should today.
Yeah,
Braden Smith, do it. Be critical. Talk shit about Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer. Do it. They don't want any get out of jail free cards. Those guys don't. They're competitors.
I mean, the first half I think we can extend it to the whole game. The first whole game, the bad game that they played together, it is game 24 in their freshman year. It's incredible. So
let's isolate this for a second, everybody. Manish, all of our friends in the margin and the people that are listening on delay. Let's isolate this for a second. It is February what? February
4th.
February 4th. Okay, it's February 4th. Purdue's up by 2 games in the Big Ten. They've played 24 games. You've played with true freshmen being a very, very important part of the production, right? Purdue goes 8 or 9 deep, right? They've played one stinker of a half the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair or am I being unfair?
I think that's right.
One bad half in 24 games. In 48 halves, they've played one bad one.
It's not like they played, Duke or Gonzaga or anything like that
Right,
earlier
exactly.
in the year.
Or a shockingly good Marquette team or a West Virginia team that gets in your shirt like nobody's business, or Michigan on the road, or Michigan State on the road. This is the thing. A dumbass IU fan, which they're plentiful. Okay, I want to congratulate my friend Nick Barker and my friend Jim Knoll, the 2 good IU fans.
2.
Those are real people.
Just 2.
Yeah, that's it. That's all there are. So it's amazing to me. You get 17,000 people in an arena, and I can only find 2 of them. And I've got some other friends that are IU fans, but they're dumbasses too when they get together. I don't know how else to say it. And I apologize to I have a couple of friends that get on here that are a little bit younger.
It is.
It is what it is. Okay. So seriously, congratulate you guys. You guys are good fans, and you guys don't lose your wherewithal with one win. But there are a couple people, and by the way, I have blocked and muted so many people on Twitter because I'm like, I just don't need to. I'm not going to argue with people. Jay probably doesn't even know this because he's the other one that gets on the Twitter feed. He likes to argue with people. He always says, I'll give an idiot rope to hang themselves. I'm like, that's cool. But if you're all discussing with it, you're coming way down on your level. And if you don't know Jay very well, which you probably don't, Anish and I do, this is a clever guy. Mm-hmm. This guy, he can spin you into a tizzy pretty easily. Yeah. He's good at it. Okay. But he'll also engage, which I don't really like doing. Okay. I'll a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, I'm out. And then I'll just say, I'm muting you. And if you say something that's offensive or just stupid or whatever, personal, I'd probably block you. Okay. It's easier. It's easier. It's
good. It's
right. The great thing is some of these people in the margin, you and I, we know them. We've gotten to meet them. Right. And so that it becomes a lot more real, right? Because we've had discussions in person. That's a ton of fun. But the IU fan that comes on says Purdue's soft after the game. That's somebody that doesn't know anything about basketball. That's all I say. Okay. And so I'm like, why would I engage with you? You don't know shit. You really don't.
I mean, again, we're not saying IU is bad. We're not saying IU is not talented.
But to say Purdue's soft because they played a bad half.
This was a clearly better team that either got, whether you want to say it or not, like whether you want to say they got taken out of their game or they didn't play their game. Either way, for one half, Purdue wasn't Purdue. Right. And for the second half, Purdue was.
For argument's sake, there are people in the margin saying the first half of Rutgers was bad. And I was at that game, and I agree. That was not a good half.
Yeah.
That was a different thing, though, right? That wasn't like this where there was – but they were just giving the thing away. And Rutgers, they couldn't really score, right?
Rutgers drags you into the mud. This is what Steve Pikiell does, man. Yeah. Like he's
a good coach.
He drags you into the mud, and then his players run. And that's how they beat you, right? I mean, from Geo Baker to Ron Harper to these guys, like – that is what Rutgers does. They just make it ugly. So honestly, like I think I agree with you looking at the, rest of the schedule. Theoretically, Northwestern's good. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I remember you said that about a month ago. You said, are we supposed to live in a world that Northwestern is good?
It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know what this means.
Maryland, I totally agree. I think the rest of this season, I would say at Maryland is probably the one and probably at Wisconsin are the two.
So Northwestern still plays zone all the time, right? Pretty much.
I think so. I can't lie and say I've watched more than like 5 minutes of Northwestern basketball this year. So, because I've got things to do.
Yeah, exactly. I got stuff to do. I can't watch every college. That's why there's our pal Greg McManus. I think he watches every college basketball game.
He's great.
I don't know how. It's amazing. I can't do it. And I'll watch some and I'll dip my toe in there. I'm like, okay, it's okay. I don't care that much, right? And then I back away from it, right? But one thing I like, by the way, about Northwestern is if you guys listened to this last year, Adige.
Oh yeah.
I call him Luigi Archipelago.
That's it. That's it.
And so if you want to root, this is the Luigi Archipelago. I don't have any idea why. My son and I explained this last year, though. I don't know why it stuck, but he's still Luigi Archipelago to me.
It's fine.
Because I was like, okay, this is
all
fun.
these things make sense.
All these things make sense. I'm not a Northwestern grad. I don't know if you know that. I went to this place right here across my chest. My loyalty's going to stay there.
Purdue lost. It is what it is. I don't think either of us are that hot about it, which is strange. This is probably the first IU loss that we haven't been steaming afterwards about, and that probably goes to show you like how successful Purdue's season has been and how much more Purdue has to play for. Like Purdue's got grand visions for this year, and this game, win or loss, like even win, we probably would be saying all this. Like it's fine. Like it is what it is. It's just another Big Ten road game against a little bit more knowing fans. I probably was more emotionally invested in Michigan State.
Same.
The loss is not great. The first half was bad, but the way they responded made me calm, right? The way they responded was like, okay, good. This team isn't going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're right. I think this next stretch is going to be good. Something like 4-1 is probably what we can hope for. We can set the line for. We can revisit this after the next IU game. But any closing thoughts here?
My biggest closing thought is let's just not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not take a very enjoyable, incredible surprise of a season and then with a loss at IU act like this hasn't been fun.
Yeah, that's right.
This is a hell of a ride, guys. This is good. And
these are the good old days. I keep saying this.
It's a great quote.
These are the good old days. You keep reminding us of that. You, of all people, keep reminding us of that in the group chat. It's like
getting soft in my old age, man.
I know, that's it. You're getting soft and reflective after an IU loss, but these are the good old days. So, totally, 100%. Agree. And Purdue's going to be number 1 on Monday. Okay, goodbye. See you.
Well, here, before we say goodbye, I don't think we didn't mention our sponsors, and maybe the bumper was put in. I don't know at the edit. Generally we don't do a lot of edit on these. So let me thank our sponsors. Thanks to Martin Vintage. Anish is wearing a Martin Vintage sweatshirt. Looks excellent on him. Part of the reason, by the way,
I'm wearing Martin Vintage underneath. This is the 19. Yeah, this is the shop. This is the shop indie. But this is I love that one. I love that one. The last time we saw each other.
The bucket's here.
The bucket's here one. The last time we saw each other, that one was the shirt that I was wearing.
But part of the reason I don't wear Martin Vintage sweatshirts, for me, when you're 5'4", 199 pounds, it's hard to find things that fit. And
you got to size up, my friend.
But I'd have to my arms, my little baby arms.
Oh, you got to just roll up the sleeves.
But that's part of the reason. Like, it's not just the fact that the Martin Vintage stuff doesn't fit me that well. It's that I'm really cheap too. So much of the stuff that you're seeing, get it.
What would happen if you needed money off of Martin Vintage?
Well, if you need money off, which everybody needs money off of something, you enter Boiled at checkout at martinvintage.com. You get your favorite t-shirt. You get your favorite sweatshirt.
Beautiful.
Enter Boiled at checkout. They got a new shirt at Martin Vintage. You get 15% off. Get 15% off.
15% off in your pocket.
Guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, don't back down now. You're dyed-in-the-wool Purdue fan. That's why you're listening here. So wear your Purdue gear on Monday and say suck it to everybody else.
Go to AJ's. Yeah, sip a beverage. And
go to AJ's on Vine.
That's it. And that's how we work in our sponsors. Okay.
Yes. And then eatajs.com. You order ahead. Anish might get himself. Anish likes some bitter beer. He likes some of the fancy stuff. You like what are you drinking tonight? You had a really.
I got a new trail. I got a little purple boy. I got a new trail.
Okay. So is that a?
It's a bitter boy. It's a bitter boy. It's a bitter boy.
See, I'm what you'd call not a fan of beer.
Okay. Well, this will fit this BS can holder koozie aluminum beverage container. Holds your can if you want it. It holds your beverage,
lock
whatever
it in
that may be,
with the little
ring
adapter
on top of it. It's on sale for $20 right now.
$20. You ship it, and guess what? That little can doesn't break in shipment like some of our fine glassware. We had that
when
issue.
when we sold glass Mount Rushmores of all of our faces,
Right.
that
Like
was
like
that was a failed
McDonald's used to do
business.
in the 80s. Yeah.
That's right. That was a failed business
That
venture,
didn't
but
work
that's
very
okay.
well. That's
That's
not very
okay.
good.
That's good.
But yeah, you can go up if you look above Anish's head. I think it's on your screen over his right shoulder. His right shoulder, right? That's the other one. Is that your left? Yes, there you go. There's a little QR code. You can scan it, you go to BF store. You can also, I mean, there's lots of stuff to buy if you want to, you know this, but we do appreciate our sponsors. And I really appreciate you guys tuning in. We promised a 4-man hot tub, and you get 2, but you got 3
and a
for a
half.
little while.
And
Yeah.
a half.
So that's good. That's good. We're going to try to get the handsome out. I can tell you, I say this all the time. People during the quick cast, they're almost like saying, we don't want to hear you. We want to hear Anish.
Hey man, the last time Michael and I filled in for you in the post game, it was hey, where's Boiler Down's face?
That's hurtful words. You guys do a great job. And but the whole thing, we're going to try to do it. And I always say when someone asks me, is there a handsome hour coming? I say, I can't tell you. And it's not because I don't want to. It's because these guys have like real grown-up schedules, and it's hard to get it all together.
Only
really
only who knows what the future holds, except for hopefully a Purdue national title and a Zach Edey National Player of the Year and a Big Ten title and a Big Ten Player of the Year for Zach. So it's good. It'll all happen. Yeah. It's fine.
Well, enjoy it, guys, because when your pal Zach Edey's having a bad half, he has 18 points. What the heck?
Bad game. 30-20. It's
30-20, and
it's
3
fine.
blocks.
Casual.
He's all
Anyway,
right.
it was lovely talking to you.
It was great talking to you. I love you guys.